Okay, well, it's a little sad that we don't have Brady or Wiley here today because our program is by Cayson Pearl. He is the student body president for Twin Falls High School, this school year getting ready to start. He actually contacted us, asked us if we had any public speaking opportunities, and I said, sure, yeah, we have some openings, and he took the very first one. And when he sent me his bio, he used the word motivated multiple times. So I think that really shows in Cayson. I've gotten to know him just a little bit. Definitely motivated and dedicated are good ways of describing him. Like I said, he's going to be the student body president for school year 2016-2017 at Twin Falls High School, and he'll be graduating this next year. So please help me welcome Cayson.
All right, how far does this cord go?
Out the door.
Out the door. Okay. I'm so grateful and excited to be able to present some things that I've learned for you guys. I've learned over the years. I've been in leadership probably since I was about 11, and I'm 17 now. I have a little experience. I don't have a lot of experience, but it's something that definitely is near and dear to my heart, and I'm grateful to be able to share some things that I've learned over the years with you guys. So, if you guys have any questions along the way or anything that's not making any sense, sometimes I don't make sense when I talk, just raise your hands and I'd be happy to answer or try to answer it for you guys. But first, what I'd like a favor for you guys. I want you guys to think about someone in your life who is an authoritative figure, who say that the world came crashing down tomorrow. There was an apocalypse of some sort, and then you see this authoritative figure and you're like, nuh-uh, goodbye, I am not talking to this guy anymore, I am not doing what he says. Can you guys think of someone like that in your life? And you're just like, no, raise your hand if you do. Can you think of someone? I saw some hands. Okay, well now think about the opposite side of the spectrum. Think of someone that in your life who isn't maybe an authoritative figure, someone that we wouldn't necessarily call a leader, but if the world came crashing down tomorrow, you know that you'd be going over to their house because you know that they'd have food, they would have a plan, and they would take you in. There's also those sort of people, and those are the kind of people that I want to talk about today. Have any of you heard of a man named Captain William Swenson? No one? Okay, perfect. There's a man, his name is Captain William Swenson, and he was recently awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for his actions on September 8th, 2009. It was on that day where a column of American and Afghan troops were making their way through a part of Afghanistan to help protect, to help protect a group of Afghan government officials, because they would soon be meeting with some local village elders. On their way over, the column came under ambush, and they were surrounded on three sides, and amongst many other things, Captain Swenson, despite all of this that's going on in the midst of live battle, Captain Swenson was recognized for running into the live fire to rescue the wounded and pull out the dead. One of the people he happened to rescue was a sergeant, and he and a comrade are making their way to a medevac helicopter. But what's so remarkable about this day is that by sheer coincidence, one of the medevac medics happened to have a GoPro camera on his head and captured this whole beautiful scene on camera. If you guys ever want to be truly inspired and motivated, I ask you guys to go on YouTube and just type in Captain Swenson video, because this is truly amazing. What you see is Captain Swenson and his comrade bringing in this wounded soldier who had received a gunshot to the neck. They bring him inside the helicopter, And then you see Captain Swenson bend over and give this man a kiss before turning around to rescue more. So I saw this and I thought to myself, where do people like that come from? No, seriously, what is that? That is some deep, deep emotion when you would want to do that. There's a love there. And I wanted to know where that comes from. You know, in business, they give bonuses to people who are willing to sacrifice others so that they may gain. And in the military, they give medals to people who are willing to sacrifice themselves so that others may gain. You got it backwards, right? So I thought to myself, where do people like that come from? My initial conclusion was that they're just better people. That's why they're attracted to the military. They're attracted to this concept of service. First of all, are there any veterans in the house? Oh, okay, give them a round of applause. So they're attracted to this concept of service, right? And that's true. But upon my experience and what I'm going to try to tell you guys is that that's completely wrong. They're not just attracted. They're not just better people. What I've learned is that it's the environment. And if you can get this environment right, every single one of us has that capacity to do remarkable things such as this. And I've had the great honor. I've had the great honor of getting to meet some of these people who we would call heroes, who have sacrificed themselves so that we may prosper and gain. And I have asked them, why would you do that? Why did you do that? And of course, they're not all the same, but the moral of each answer is that they would have done it for me. It's this deep sense of trust and cooperation. So trust and cooperation are really important here. The problems with the concepts of trust and cooperation is that they are feelings, they are not instructions. I cannot simply say, trust me, and you will. I cannot simply instruct two people to cooperate and they will. That's not how it works, it's a feeling. So I apologize, this is my bad, I was gonna write a little something on the easel, but I forgot to bring some paper. So I apologize, but so where does this feeling come from? If you go back, we're gonna go back 50,000 years, back to the Paleolithic era, to the early days of Homo sapien. And what we know is that the world was filled with danger. All these forces working very, very hard to reduce our lifespan. It was nothing personal. It could have been a lack of resources. It could have been the weather. It could have been a saber-tooth tiger. I don't know. But all these forces working very, very hard to reduce our lifespan. So we evolved into social animals. We evolved into social animals where we worked together and lived together in what I like to call a circle of safety, inside the tribe where we felt like we belonged. And when we felt like we belonged, the natural reaction was that to trust and cooperate. There are inherent benefits to this. It means that I can fall asleep at night and trust someone that from within my tribe will watch for danger. If we don't trust each other, if I don't trust you, you won't watch for danger. It's a bad system of survival. And so this is natural. So what I'm trying to say to you guys is that the modern day is exactly the same thing. There are many dangers that are trying to frustrate our growth, reduce our success, reduce our opportunities for success. It could be the ups and downs in the economy. It could be the uncertainty of the stock market. It could be a new technology that renders your business model obsolete overnight. It could be sometimes your competition that's trying to kill you, but at the very minimum, it's trying to frustrate your growth and steal your competition from you. But these are not going away. We have absolutely no control over this. These are a constant. And what I want to focus on is this variable, because there is one variable, and this variable trumps all the other constants. And this variable are, and I know what I'm about to say to you guys might already know. You guys might already know, and you might understand this because it's pretty simple. It's not anything too complicated, but I want you guys to please ask yourself, are you actually thinking about this intellectually, or is this cognitive that you're using? Because we all know this, but we don't usually think about this intellectually. Because I know that if we can apply this, that this can dramatically change an organization for the better. What I've learned is that it's the conditions inside the organization. Because, and the conditions inside the organization are set by the leadership in the organization. So, if I could have big red flashing lights, newsflash, that the leaders inside the organization, whether you think it or not, set the tone for the entire organization. And not only when an authoritative figure is willing to sacrifice themselves and willing to sacrifice their comforts so that the other people in the organization can thrive, and so that they feel safe and feel like they belong. Not only does that authoritative figure become a leader, but also remarkable things happen. I read a blog about a man who was flying on a trip, and he was a witness to an incident where we saw someone who attempted to board the plane one call too soon. And he saw this gate agent treat this man like he had broken the law, like he was a criminal. And so the writer of the blog goes up to the gate agent, and he gets in his face, and he says, Why do you treat us like cattle? Why can't you treat us like human beings? And this is exactly what the gate agent said back to him. She said, Sir, if I don't follow the rules, I can get in trouble or lose my job. All she was telling the gate agent, or all she was telling the writer of the blog, was that she doesn't trust her leaders. All she was telling the writer of the blog is that she fears her leaders. You see, if the conditions are wrong, we are physically forced to expend our own energy and our own time to protect ourselves from each other. But when we feel safe and we feel like we belong inside an organization, we naturally will combine our strengths and talents to work together and work tirelessly to face the dangers outside and to seize the opportunities. The closest thing to what I can think of what a great leader is like what being a great parent is. Think about it. What makes a great parent? They want to give their child education. They want to give them opportunities. They want to discipline them when necessary. All that so they can grow up and achieve more than we ever could for ourselves. And great leaders want exactly the same thing. They want to give their people education, opportunities. They want to discipline them when necessary. They want to build their self-confidence, give them opportunities to try and fail, so that we could achieve more. They could achieve more than we ever could for ourselves. Charlie Kim, he's a CEO of a tech company in New York called NextJump, makes the point that if you had hard times in your family, would you ever consider laying off one of your children? Of course, we would never do that. That's something I don't know about doing. But so he says that, and then he says, so then why? What happened during the business process? Why do we consider laying off one of the people inside our organization then? Charlie Kim implemented a policy in his company of lifetime employment. If you cannot be fired for performance issues at Next Jump. If you have issues inside, if you have issues, they will coach you and they will give you support. Just like we would with a person who has a C with a kid who has a C from school. It's the complete opposite, right? This is why so many of us have such a visceral hatred towards some of these banking CEOs with their disproportionate salaries and bonus structures. It's not the numbers that frustrates us so much. It's that they have violated the very definition of leadership. They have violated this deep-seated social contract. We know that they allowed their people to be sacrificed to protect their own interests, or worse, they sacrificed their people to protect their own interests. Would anybody be offended if we gave a $150 million bonus to Gandhi, or a $250 million bonus to Mother Teresa? No, we wouldn't, because it's not the numbers that frustrate us so bad. It's that they have violated this. And so what I'm trying to say to you guys is that leadership is a choice. It is not a rank. Bob Chapman is more of a familiar name. He owns a manufacturing company in the Midwest called Barry Whitmiller. And in 2008, he was hit very, very hard by the recession. He lost 30% of his orders overnight. And the large manufacturing company, this is a big deal. They needed to save at least $10 million. So the board got together, and like so many other companies today, they discussed layoffs. But Bob refused. You see, Bob doesn't believe in head counts. Bob believes in heart counts. And so Bob refused. And so they came up with the furlough program. Every employee from secretary to CEO was required to take 4 weeks of unpaid vacation. But it was how Bob announced the program that mattered so much. He says, it's better that we should all suffer a little than some of us should have to suffer it all. And morale skyrocketed. They saved $20 million. And like, as would be expected, when we felt safe and protected by the leadership in our organization, the natural reaction was to trust and cooperate. And so spontaneously, nobody even expected, but people started trading with each other. Others that could afford it more would trade with those who could afford it less. People would take 5 weeks, so other people could take 3 weeks. So the more of all this is that leadership is a choice. It is not a rank. I know people who are at the senior most levels of organizations who are absolutely not leaders. And I also know people who are at the bottom most of organizations, and they are absolutely leaders because they have chosen to look after the person to the left of them. And they have chosen to look after the person to the right of them. Listen, I don't have this memorized, so I wrote this down, but listen to what Thomas Jefferson has to say about this. I love this quote so much. It is not the critic who counts, not the one who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who if he wins knows the triumph of great achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Going back to the Marines, I heard another story of some Marines who went out to dinner. And as in the Marine custom, the officer ate last and let his men eat first. And when they were done eating, and when they were done getting their food, there's no more food left for the officer. So they went back out on the field. But when they went back into the field, the men brought some of their food to the officer so that he may eat. Because that's what happens. We call them leaders because they go first. We call them leaders because they risk themselves before they risk anyone else. We call them leaders because they chose to sacrifice themselves. And they chose to sacrifice other people. They chose to sacrifice the tangible results first so that their people may feel safe and feel like they belong. And I know that when we do that, that we will go and we will ask them, why do you do this? Why do you put your blood and sweat and tears into this organization? And they will all say the same thing. Because they would have done it for me. And isn't that the organization we'd all like to work in? Thank you.
Cayson, thank you. I think Twin Falls High School has a very, very good president. I think you're going to have a great year. One thing I would ask you to do is pick two of the